Dave Scott, Hub Media. Boy, look who it is. Haven't seen you in a long time. Our independent MPP for Haldimand, Norfolk, Bobbi and Brady. I just wanted to catch up and ask you, how was the throne speech? What? Give me some dirt. What's going on there?
Hi, Dave. Great to be back again. Throne speech. Yes, I was at Queen's Park Monday, and we elected the Speaker of the Ontario Legislature. I want to talk about that for just a moment, if you'll let me. We elected Ted Arnott, and Mr. Arnott was the Speaker prior to the election. He's a fantastic guy, and I couldn't be happier in who we elected as the Speaker. Just by way of background, the Speaker is a nonpartisan rule, and he's basically the referee of the Ontario Legislature. So I wish him all the best in continuing that rule. Throne speech yesterday at Queen's Park. Yes, it was exciting to be there and see how that all unrolls right in front of my eyes, sitting in the chamber instead of watching as a staff person on a monitor. Some things really stuck out in my mind in the throne speech. It began kind of with painting the picture of the doom and gloom that the pandemic, the COVID-19 continues across the province and in other parts of the world. And so there was that. And we talked about unemployment rates, and we talked about a lack of housing. So there was the doom and gloom. And then there was this mention that, but don't worry, we have a bold plan to get out of this. And I don't really see the bold plan. I hope it's there. I really do, because many of us are tired of the doom and gloom. But one of the things that primarily stuck out to me was there was no mention of agriculture. So we talk about, having newcomers to Ontario and having some of those folks fill the gaps in the trade skills shortages. And that's fine, but then they need houses. So then they talk about the need for 1.5 million houses in the province. And there's an aggressive plan to build those 1.5 million houses over the next 10 years. So while they're talking about this, all I can think of is, well, I hope that we're talking about how we're going to feed these folks who need these 1.5 million houses and the rest of us. And you and I both know, if the pandemic taught us anything, it's the importance of having things done close to home. If there's one thing that we truly need, made in Ontario, it's our food. And we didn't experience food shortages here in Ontario. And it's because we're blessed with hardworking farm families who go out every day and ensure that we have food on the table. But what concerns me is when they're talking about building these 1.5 million houses, what land are they going to use? They're running out of kind of horizontal space in the cities. And my suggestion is go up. Don't go out, go up, build up, right? I know not everyone wants to live in a high rise, but sometimes we have to make concessions. Do we want to eat, or do we want to live in a high rise? I see developers eyeing up our beautiful farmland, our viable farmland in places like Haldimand and Norfolk. And we've seen urban sprawl in the Caledonia area. Caledonia is set to triple in size over the next few years. And when I was knocking on doors during the campaign, Dave, there were folks who would say to me, hey, listen, I moved in from Brampton, or I moved in from Milton. And I left those places because it was just too big. And I moved here because it had more of a rural feel. And now I feel like I'm back in Milton. And that's not what I came here for. And, people will say to me, well, they're part of the problem. They moved here. Well, no, they moved here because of our way of life, and they don't want that way of life changed. So, I look at the throne speech and I really focus on these building of these houses and where they're going to be built. And the fact that we don't even mention agriculture. I mean, you and I both know that if we pave over our viable farmland, the buildings and the jobs become a moot point if we can't eat. And we certainly don't want to rely on other countries for our food. We know what happens when we do. Prices soar, and people are having a hard time paying the bills right now. So we need to keep food close to home, and we need to keep it as cheap as possible. I'm very, very concerned about paving over our farmland. New census data shows, I will say that during the campaign, I was using the number 176 acres per day in Ontario was being gobbled up by development. And then that's 176 acres of prime agricultural land. That number was staggering. After the election, new census data had been collected, and it now shows that 319 plus acres per day is being gobbled up. That's unsustainable, right? So those things really scare me. And the fact that wasn't mentioned in the throne speech has me concerned. So I will be addressing that at Queen's Park. We talk about healthcare in the throne speech and the shortage of healthcare workers. And I actually posted a news release late last week, and it garnered quite a bit of controversy on my Facebook page. And it's something that I did speak about during the campaign as well. I put out a news release during the campaign talking about the 40,000 foreign trained nurses that are not on the front lines in Ontario. Folks came at me on my Facebook page saying, so you want to go get nurses from another country? No, these 40,000 nurses are already living in Ontario. Put them to work, right? Get them out there. Right now they're working in a Tim Hortons, in a McDonald's, in a Subway. Those are, as long as you're working, that's great. But if they have skills that we need at this point in time, then put them into those jobs with those skills. I think about, I've also had nurses contact me and say, well, okay, so you believe in putting these 40,000 nurses on the front lines, but I lost my job during the pandemic because I made a medical decision. Well, I believe in having everybody back on the front lines. I see in our healthcare system right now and all over is that people are still contracting and spreading COVID-19 regardless of their medical decision. So, I would ask the government, what's more important, helping to address the shortage of frontline staff that we have out there, paramedics, firefighters, nurses. Is it more important to keep some of those people sidelined, or is it more important to address the crisis that we have in healthcare right now by having all hands on deck? And that's not a decision for me to make, but that's the question that I would have to the government. What's more important, right? Are we still trying to ensure that people who made a certain medical decision don't go to work, or do we address the critical shortage that we have on the front lines in Ontario? So those were a few of the things that struck me in the throne speech. Another part of the throne speech that kind of caught me off guard is they began talking about ODSP rates, and we've all kind of suspected that they were going to increase ODSP rates by 5%, and they'll increase those rates annually, and they'll tie it to inflation. That's all great, but 5% at this point in time seems like a little too late. But it's the way they prefaced it, and I'll read word for word. It says, "Your government also recognizes the need to support those who aren't able to participate in the province's economy, particularly as inflation drives the cost of living higher."
Let's take a look at that.
People on ODSP.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's the wording, it's the verbiage that really caught me off guard, because I've spoken to so many people on ODSP and who continue to text me, email me all the time. I got one yesterday from someone in Bancroft, and they said, I'm trying to get my life back in order. I have a part-time job at a hardware store, but I can't get ahead because everything I earn at the hardware store, they take away from me. So to say that people on ODSP can't be contributing members to the economy is such a falsehood, because people want to work. They feel good when they work. And so, government has got to stop punishing those people who want to go out there and work 15 to 20 hours a week. Sure, they may not be able to work 40 hours a week. Their disability may preclude them from working 40 hours a week. But why on God's earth would we stop them from working 15 to 20 hours a week? Allow them to keep that money. allow them to get out of the cycle of poverty and be a contributing member to the economy. The only reason the government thinks that they're not contributing members to the economy is because the government is holding them back, and we have to stop that.
Great point. I want to ask you one quick question about the nurses with ERs being closed, some across the province recently. Like, what part of that did they see? That's the part that caught me. It's like when your ER closes for the weekend, there's problems. The whole system is, and to deny it. And again, with the nurses, I mean, they're holding them up. They're saying, well, we gave you this $5,000. I don't know how true that is. I don't know what extent, but we need these folks working. And I agree with you 100% on that. We got to find a way to get these nurses to our system and helping out. And I got to admit, I mean, I have a family member who worked at a senior home and during the pandemic quit. She was working so many hours. She was basically exhausted, and it was the only way to protect her own health. So again, nobody was, just go to work. Well, you can't when your body's that beat up and you're that tired and you're mentally frustrated. It's time to walk away for your own health.
We have to restore respect. So, it seems like when I look at the comments on my Facebook post about these 40,000 foreign trained nurses, and don't get me wrong, like I am not trying to replace, Ontario nurses. That's not what I'm trying to do. There is a crisis though, because nurses have left, right? People have walked away from the job because they are either sick themselves because they're so stressed, or they feel so disrespected. Many of the nurses that I know, many of my friends say, you know what, we just want respect restored to our profession. You can't go out there in a pandemic and say, oh, these folks are heroes, and then pit them against one another with legislation. We need to scrap Bill 124. We need to stop saying, okay, you know what, we're going to give pandemic pay to this group of healthcare workers, but not to this group of healthcare workers. That creates a really toxic workplace where you've pit worker against worker. That's not healthy, and people leave the profession because they feel disrespected. So the first thing that we have to do is treat them with respect, restore that respect. We have to get all hands on deck. And I think that if we restored the respect, we would see good frontline workers return. And, I have a daughter who is going to be going into nursing. She's just finishing her degree this year at Mac, and she's going to go into nursing. And, there are folks who say to her who are in the profession, hey, what are you thinking? And I don't want her to feel that way, right? I want her to feel like when she is out there in the workforce and she's on the front lines, she's doing something that's respected. And, nobody likes going to work and feeling like they're ill appreciated. And if there's a profession in this world where we want people to feel good about themselves and the job that they do, my goodness, it better be with respect to looking after us, right? We go into a hospital, we go into a long-term care home. We want those people to be happy and feel good about what they're doing. Otherwise, you and I are going to suffer as well.
Wow, what a first couple of days you've had, eh? I was going to ask you, like, I can see you're right in there. You're fighting already, but is it what you expected? Are you enjoying it? Are you taking it all in?
Yeah, it's still a bit surreal, like, sitting in the house, taking my seat. And yesterday was the second day that I took my seat, and it kind of felt like home already. And the wonderful part about Bobbi and Brady being an independent is that I can't be whipped. And that means that I don't have to be there if I don't want to be there. If it's more advantageous for me to be in Haldimand, Norfolk, I'll be in Haldimand, Norfolk. I'm still waiting to kind of negotiate my time to speak in the House. I've been offered a committee position, which is fantastic because the naysayers during the campaign said Bobbi Ann would never get a chance to speak and Bobbi Ann wouldn't be able to be part of a committee. And here I am in the first few days, and things seem to be falling into place. So I look forward to next week because I think I will be able to ask my first question, and I'll be able to stand up and deliver some statements. And I look forward to my maiden speech. I don't know when that will be. We're still trying to negotiate that. But it feels wonderful. Everybody at Queen's Park has been absolutely welcoming. It feels really good. And I'm very passionate about these issues, obviously, that I'm talking about this morning. I'm very passionate about getting up and, speaking about nurses. I'm passionate about speaking about our farmland and building houses and things like that. There's so much that I want to do, Dave, that, I hope I can get it all accomplished in the next few weeks. And if I don't, I will obviously have the fall sitting of the Ontario legislature to talk about these things too. I guess, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Have you been approached by any of the parties to look for your support?
So I've had parties reach out to me and talk to me. Nobody's asked me to
I didn't mean that. But I mean, just when there's going to be certain items. I mean, it's majority government, but there's going to be legislation that wants to go through that's going to say, hey, why don't you support us on this?
Mm-hmm. I can see the posturing already. People saying certain things to me, and I know that it's so that they can build that rapport with me, and so that that's smart. Politically, that's smart. But I think for the most part, people are genuine, and they're just happy that I'm there. They see me kind of as a fresh face, and they kind of, I think they. Perhaps are a bit envious of the position that I am in as an independent, because the majority of them are whipped. They're part of a party, and they're told what they can and cannot do. And there's only a few of us who can't be told what to do. And my rapport with some of those folks is really, really nice. Mike Schreiner from the Green Party, yeah. He is a lone wolf in the House as well. And Mike is a wealth of information. He's been there for a while, and he's been very, very helpful.
Mike from the Guelph area?
John Fraser.
From the Guelph area? Yeah.
Yeah, he's from Guelph. Yep. And John Fraser from the Liberals has been very, very kind. I will say that PC caucus members, many, many, many of them, have wished me well and have offered their assistance if I need it. And it looks like for the most part, everybody is willing to work with me and help me along. I feel a lot better being there the past 2 days. I think some of those worries have been kind of put to rest, and it's very exciting. Like I say, very passionate.
You've got 20 years experience. You know what's going on there. You know your way around. It makes such a big difference probably to you, because you're not totally a newbie. Everybody knows who you are. You're a newbie on the independent side, but you know the players and you know how it works. So I think that already gives you such a big in, like to get things accomplished, hopefully for Haldimand Norfolk, to help in any way you can. Last question. How did folks get a hold of you? Offices set up? What's sort of if they have a question they want to send to you, what's the best way?
Okay, so if anyone wants to write to me, you can send it to B.A. Brady, Brady -CO, which stands for Constituency Office, at ola.org. The phone numbers are all the same as what they were for Toby. It made the bureaucrats' life really easy when they could just flip over the name. So the phone number is 519-428-0446. 905-765-8413, or toll free 1-800-903-8629.
Perfect. Anything else you want to add before I let you go? Perfect.
I do, actually. I want to again reiterate, because I get this question all the time, and there's rumors in the community that Bobbi Ann is asking the PC caucus to let her come home, and that is the biggest falsehood. I am so excited to sit as an independent. I have so many people who have said, please do not cross the floor, and I will reiterate that I would never cross the floor. One, until respect is restored in the inner circles of the PC caucus, and secondly, until the people of Haldimand Norfolk said, hey, Bobbi Ann, it's advantageous for you to take us across that floor and walk into the door of the PC home. So those folks out there who are worried about me crossing the floor, in the coming days. There's no need to worry. And, there's a rumor out there that I've begged for, acceptance into the party. No, Bobbi Ann doesn't beg. So I just wanted to reiterate that.
You're an independent, and that's what everybody likes about it, is that you actually can say what we're thinking in Haldimand, Norfolk. And that's a fresh voice being heard is kind of what we wanted, I think. And that's why you won the election. I'll let you get back to work. I look forward to talking to you next month and finding out what you're up to and what you can report. But take care, and I keep having fun. Keep doing what you do. Okay.
Yes. Thanks a lot, Dave. Thanks for having me. I look forward to next month. Thanks.